never seen, name it, you go. I only got 2 instances, and it never happened during the season, where someone who started at quarterback got traded to their rival in the division.
Mike Tomlin has always played chess when the rest of the league plays checkers. And this time, his opponent isn't just the quarterback across the line of scrimmage. It's the entire Cleveland Browns organization. With Shedeur Sanders taking over national headlines and the Browns' internal chaos becoming public spectacle, Tomlin is moving silently, preparing to take advantage. Opposing teams in the AFC have taken note, but it's the Browns who feel the pressure the most. Reports suggest Tomlin and his staff have spent weeks preparing a playbook that specifically targets every weakness in Cleveland's offensive foundation.
You know, to be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
Not just blitz packages, not just coverage disguises, but psychological pressure, game pace shifts, and exact defensive rotations meant to expose the fractures in Cleveland's locker room and coaching strategy. Insiders describe what's happening as classic Tomlin, intentional, detailed, and entirely unseen until it's too late. While other coaches ride emotional waves or react to headlines, Tomlin doesn't speak unless necessary. But behind the scenes, he's already predicting how the Browns will respond to pressure, identifying who cracks first, and preparing to turn Shedeur's spotlight into a battlefield. According to one AFC scout, Mike's not planning for just a game, he's preparing for an implosion. And the alarming thing is, he might be right. Cleveland is already destabilized by the internal tug-of-war between Sanders and Stefanski, and now they're facing one of the league's most disciplined defensive minds.
52 attempts in that last game, passing attempts.
Oh, yeah.
52.
52.
And if I could be wrong
52.
on this stat, but I think it might have been 3 passes that were like over 10 yards.
Right.
It was something.
He only had 211 yards or something, so you're right.
Right. So they're not even calling plays really to get that ball down. I feel like they're babying him and they're coddling him because that's his guy. And I feel like he's trying to do everything in his power to justify why he has Gabriel in front of Shedeur. She's like, I'm trying to make you look good.
Right.
Just,
you got to do it.
Just do something. Like, I'm going to make this game as easy for you as possible. Because did you see yesterday, the clip, it came out yesterday with Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah.
So when he sacked Gabriel and then pointed at Stefanski and said, put Shedeur in.
Yeah.
If there's one thing Tomlin understands, it's the power of silence. He's not in the media. He's not hitting press conferences with shots. Instead, he's watching tape, studying Sanders' tendencies, and mapping every play Stefanski calls under pressure. And that's the real story unfolding. While the Browns are battling from within, the Steelers aren't reacting emotionally. They're planning strategically. The mission is clear: confuse the rookie, expose the coaching staff, and capitalize on cracks that have already formed. The Browns know this too. That's why insiders say team meetings have taken a sharp turn. Playbooks are being rewritten, practice schedules adjusted, and assistant coaches put under extreme pressure to deliver fast improvements. But the real question remains: can you rebuild your identity when the opposing coach already knows what's coming? Or is Tomlin just sitting back and waiting to strike? The silence coming from Pittsburgh might be the loudest signal of all, and Cleveland can feel it. Mike Tomlin's game plans have always been disguised as simplicity, when in fact, they are loaded with layers, counters, and trapdoors for quarterbacks who don't yet understand the NFL's deepest mind games. And in Shedeur Sanders, he sees something unusual: a rising star who brings precision, poise, and unshakable calm. But also a quarterback whose situation is far from stable. And that's where Tomlin will attack. Sources close to the Steelers' defensive staff say the approach is already mapped out. Force Cleveland to choose between trusting Sanders or protecting their egos, create confusion, show one defense pre-snap and rapidly morph into something else post-snap, pressure Sanders into reading chaos instead of coverage. Defensive coordinator Terrell Austin reportedly has blitzes planned not just to hit Sanders physically, but to hit the coaching staff psychologically, show him open windows that collapse as soon as he commits, disguise linebackers as safeties, leave a corner unmarked to bait him into one-on-one traps. These are not rookie mistakes Tomlin is hoping for. These are coaching traps he wants to exploit, because if Cleveland hesitates, If Stefanski and his offense overthink or delay adjustments, Pittsburgh will own the tempo. They won't need the loudest hits. They'll just need the smartest pressure.
Tomlin called BS.
Andrew Berry.
Yeah. All right. So he told Andrew Berry, Harvard, smart guy, GM, look, Andrew, ain't nobody trading a starting quarterback to the damn team in their same division in the same season unless something ain't right. Like, he called BS on that stuff for real. And I'm like, he made me think, I was like, yo, this is a real, we've been talking about Shedeur in a lot of ways, but this is the first time I'm thinking this was a whole plot and plan.
One of the plays insiders are expecting is the shadow shift, a defensive front that mirrors Cleveland's motion to create false comfort before flipping into a trap rotation. This particular design has broken veteran quarterbacks before, and Tomlin's betting it'll expose communication problems between Sanders, the line, and coaching staff. It's a high-level psychological strategy. Focus not on what Sanders can do, but on what the Browns won't do in time to save him. And that's exactly why this matchup feels like a powder keg. Cleveland's internal division is no longer private. The locker room knows it, the league knows it, and Tomlin definitely knows it. If Sanders thrives, he becomes a legend. But if Tomlin can force the rookie to crash under pressure, or more importantly, expose how poorly the Browns protect him, that storyline becomes the Browns' undoing. In that sense, the game isn't just physical, it's a coaching chess match. And Tomlin has always been 3 moves ahead. Reports coming out of Cleveland over the past week tell a story that no organization wants to admit. The Browns are panicking, not just preparing, not calmly strategizing, but actually scrambling to stop the bleeding before it becomes a season-ending fracture. Staff members are allegedly holding late-night meetings trying to rework game plans. Practice sessions are being shifted on the fly. And perhaps most telling of all, sources claim certain players have been pulled aside to control the message in public interviews. The fear is real. Tomlin's reputation for exposing unprepared coaches and rattled quarterbacks has grown over 15 seasons. He doesn't just beat teams, he dismantles their structure, and that's exactly what Cleveland can't afford right now. Their fragile dynamic is already on display, from the reported shouting matches behind closed doors to the inconsistency on the field. Add a highly calculated defensive assault on top of that, and this situation could go from tense to irreversible. League insiders say that this week, Stefanski tried to shift control back in his hands, possibly to regain credibility with both ownership and the locker room. But the players see what's happening. They know certain decisions are being influenced by public perception instead of game tape. They know the staff is now reacting emotionally, trying to prove they're still in control. That's a recipe for disaster in the NFL. The team that spends the most time managing narratives almost always performs the worst when the game starts. Meanwhile, players who were once neutral are starting to take sides. Some believe Sanders deserves full command of the offense. Others fear the fallout if it goes wrong. And all of them know the defense is about to face a level of discipline they rarely experience in practice. This isn't a game that will simply test the rookie. It will test the entire identity of the Browns. Will they fold under pressure? Or will they finally rally and accept that the quarterback they've been hesitant to trust might be their only chance of survival? One thing is for sure. Whatever happens when Cleveland meets Pittsburgh, the story won't just be about the final score. It'll be about how each organization responded to pressure, one built to embrace it, the other trying to hide from it. Amid all the noise, one question remains central. Is Shedeur Sanders prepared for what's coming? On paper, he might be one of the most poised rookie quarterbacks to enter the league in years. His footwork is clean, his accuracy elite, and his mental processing borderline pro level even before his NFL debut. But readiness on the field isn't the only factor. Sometimes a quarterback needs a foundation that supports him, and that's where Cleveland's biggest shortcoming lies. Sanders has shown every sign of being ready to compete. Players who've taken reps with him praise his command of the huddle and his ability to learn quickly. Film observers note how he elevates the receivers around him when given time and trust. Even former executives have privately said that Sanders has all the tools to be the next big NFL breakout. But all of that means nothing if the system around him collapses. Tomlin understands this perfectly. He knows that the real game isn't just between Sanders and the Steelers. It's between Sanders and the Browns' infrastructure. What if this is the game that defines how the league sees Shedeur? If he thrives, the narrative changes. He becomes a rising face of the NFL, a leader who stood up to chaos and still delivered. But if the Steelers crush Cleveland's protection, rattle the staff, and leave Sanders looking overwhelmed, the media flips. The same voices that once praised his calm demeanor will call him not ready, or a system quarterback, overlooking the context of the chaos he was thrown into. That's why this moment feels so monumental. More than a game, it's a pivot point. A test not only of Sanders' ability, but of the Browns' integrity. Does Cleveland allow him to fail, then blame him, or do they finally build the system around him instead of hiding behind him? With Tomlin preparing an ambush and the Browns fighting fires internally, Sanders stands in the middle balancing silence and pressure. And if he pulls it off, the story won't just be about talent, it'll be about composure under fire. Two different coaching worlds are about to collide. On one side, Mike Tomlin, a no-nonsense, deeply respected figure who has maintained full control of his franchise for over a decade. On the other, Kevin Stefanski, talented but shaken, increasingly viewed as a coach whose grip is slipping. Their leadership styles couldn't be more different, and it's that contrast that makes this matchup more compelling than any stat sheet could ever show. Tomlin leads through consistency. He never throws players under the bus. He never overreacts when the media gets involved. He doesn't need flashy speeches or viral sound bites. His players know what he expects, and they respond. Stefanski, by comparison, now appears reactive. Reports of players losing confidence have spread. Rumors of communication breakdowns and reshuffled responsibilities are common. Every whisper about lost trust adds another layer to the perception that things are falling apart. And here lies the hidden truth. This game isn't just about quarterbacks or pass rushes. It's an indirect war between coaching philosophies. Tomlin's long-term culture versus Stefanski's short-term damage control. Sanders might be the centerpiece of this moment, but through him, the entire identity of the Browns franchise is being challenged. If Pittsburgh exposes Cleveland's dysfunction live on national TV, Stefanski's reputation might not recover. Tomlin, however, doesn't need to say a word. His players already know the message. Control the room first, control the game later. Sanders may be stepping into a historical moment, but his opponent isn't just the Steelers' defense. It's an elite system led by a coach who has survived every era of the NFL and knows exactly how to dismantle weak ones. And if he succeeds, the Browns' story might evolve from chaos to collapse overnight. Every decision the Browns make from here on will determine their future, and there is no longer any room for denial. The league is watching. Fans are watching. Even rival franchises are paying attention to how Cleveland handles this moment. Will they double down on outdated structure, or will they finally embrace the shift that's already happening in front of them? With the pressure mounting and Tomlin's shadow strategy about to test them like never before, Cleveland is at a breaking point. Sanders represents the new NFL. Player empowerment, modern quarterbacks, media presence, composure under fire. Stefanski represents the old. Control, hierarchy, slow trust. What happens when those worlds collide? Usually one gets replaced. Ownership will eventually have to make a choice, invest fully in the rookie and build a franchise around him, or stand behind a coach whose leadership has already been questioned from inside the building. There is no longer space for compromise. If Cleveland survives this trial, the team could emerge with a fresh identity, united behind Sanders and ready to compete at a higher level. But if they fail, this moment becomes the turning point fans look back on years later, the day the Browns hesitated, the day they let fear interrupt evolution, the day they were exposed by a coach from another team who understood their flaws better than they did. The spotlight is burning hot now. Sanders is ready. The locker room is restless. Tomlin is waiting, silently sharpening strategy and preparing execution. What happens when Pittsburgh and Cleveland collide won't just define a season. It may define the next decade of both franchises. What's happening in Cleveland isn't just about one team. It's a reflection of a larger battle taking place across the NFL. A generational shift is unfolding, quietly but powerfully. Veteran coaches are being challenged by a new wave of quarterbacks who aren't just talented. They're business-minded, media-savvy, and deeply aware of their influence. Shedeur Sanders stands at the center of that shift, and whether Mike Tomlin succeeds in rattling him or not, the league is getting a front-row seat to the tension between tradition and transformation. When Tomlin began preparing the silent strategy, he wasn't just trying to win a game, he was testing whether Cleveland is built for the future. The NFL is evolving. Younger players now expect transparency, collaboration, and systems that adapt to their strengths, not systems that expect submission to old-school hierarchy. That's exactly why Shedeur's rise and Cleveland's resistance feels so symbolic. The Browns aren't just deciding whether they trust a rookie. They're deciding whether they're willing to let go of a broken leadership model that keeps producing the same outcome, dysfunction. And make no mistake, other players are watching this closely. If the Browns waste Sanders' potential, agents and young stars will remember. The organization will no longer be seen as a destination for talent, but a cautionary tale about ego, fear, and wasted opportunity. That's why ownership is under immense pressure, not just to fix the current chaos, but to prove they're ready to build a modern franchise that doesn't crumble when challenged. Tomlin, aware of all this, is now in a position to test the Browns' soul and expose it if it's weak. Meanwhile, Shedeur's composure is becoming the highlight of this entire storyline. People are beginning to see him not just as a rookie, but as a cultural force, someone who represents not only skill, but a different type of leadership, quiet, precise, unbothered by the noise created around him. And in a league where narratives control reputations, that demeanor may be his greatest weapon against the chaos Tomlin hopes to unleash. This isn't just about winning football games anymore. It's a silent war for the future of the league, and Cleveland is stuck in the middle of it, unable to hide the stakes any longer. The next snap Sanders takes might become iconic, either as the moment everything changes or the moment it all collapses. And trust, however it goes down, we'll be right here breaking it all down. So if you're locked in, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more breakdowns, and hit the notification bell, because the culture is shifting and history is being written every single week in the NFL.